Welcome, winos! We are so incredibly excited to have you with us for another fun but informative episode. And today we have some fantastic guests too. I cannot wait to introduce them to you. And I promise you we will, but for now, let's introduce our topic. Trust me, I'm HR.
I bet some people are rolling their eyes, but hopefully we will change their mind by the end of this episode. So we all know that trust is at the basis of everything. Building relationships and sustaining those relationships, being seen as a valued resource, leader, or partner, especially in HR, and making people feel comfortable enough to come to you when they may be a little bit worried that they screwed something up, right?
Definitely.
All of those situations take trust. And that is why we decided to talk about this topic today, because it is really important and probably not more so for any other department than HR. I feel like that was a whole lot of double negatives, but y'all knew where I was going. So what that signals to me is that it is time to meet our guests so I can have some wine so I can get my brain and my mouth to work in coordination.
I guess I better get that done so we can have some wine. I am so excited to introduce colleagues of mine, friends of mine, and co-creators of mine, which I will talk to you about, or we will talk to you about later. We have Tammy Pippin and Latoya Dorsey here with us. One of the reasons I'm so excited that they are here today with us is that they actually are going to provide a different perspective than Julie and I typically provide. We talk to you about governmental and private sector, but the two ladies with us today really have spent a majority of their careers in the public sector working with government. And so I just cannot wait to get their perspective on trust and why it is so important. So, ladies, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves?
So I am Tammy Pippin. I have worked 20 years in the public sector, either for state government, local government, not county government, just state and local government, meaning city government, in public administration with a knack for law enforcement administration. And now I'm really into the HR field and just making it do what it do and earning the trust of people who don't believe me anyway. So.
Do we already have a mic drop?
So I am Latoya Dorsey, and much like Tammy Pippin, I've spent most of my career in local government. I've spent about 10 of those working in the law enforcement entity. So if you know anything about law enforcement, you already know kind of it's a male-dominated industry, and it takes a lot to build trust. So I'm so excited to be participating in this topic because this is something that's near and dear to our hearts. It's something that we have to not only teach, but we have to preach it and we have to live it as well every day in our careers. So I'm excited.
Yes. Well, we are thrilled to have you both here and can't wait to learn more about you as we go through this episode and also just hear your perspective on things. So, but before we get to all of that, we have to get to our wine. So, the WINE, of course. So, Latoya, what are you drinking?
I am having some delicious Chardonnay, my favorite.
Excellent.
And she is having it in her Wine with HR glass.
Absolutely. Yummy.
So, is it a particular brand that you like, and why do you like Chardonnay?
So this is actually something new that I'm trying from South Africa. I never had it before, but it's actually really good. And so I didn't really like Chardonnay before. I was more of a sweet drinker until we went to Napa for our anniversary a couple years ago, and it kind of turned me on to Chardonnay. So I like it. It's still a little sweet, a little mild, and it does exactly what I needed to do. So yeah.
What more do you need from wine?
That's it. All the boxes are checked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do love South African wine. It's climbing up there.
Yeah. This is my first time, but it definitely won't be my last.
Yeah. Very cool. Tammy, what about you?
I'm drinking a Merlot in my glass. This is a Duckhorn Merlot that Latoya brought back from Napa for me.
Oh, nice gift.
Yes.
We love Duckhorn.
Yes, so I'll be honest, but this is really, really great, Latoya. I don't really have a favorite wine because all wine is my favorite. Sweet, dry.
My sister.
extra
She is
dry.
my sister.
It is so I drink it.
I like the way
No.
you think.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
All right, Trish.
I am, well, okay, as per usual, I ran out of time and sent Will to the store for me. This has been the 10th episode or something, maybe even more, where I've done this. And I told him I was feeling a Pinot Noir today. And so he was like, all the ones that I wanted to get, you've already had before. So he got me one. I have to show you guys this.
Steak?
It's
Steak and
and potatoes.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's steak and potatoes. It is a California Pinot Noir. It is very, very fruit forward. Interestingly enough, one of the first flavors that kind of bam smacked me in the face was cranberry. So there's a lot of cranberry, a lot of vanilla, a little bit of oak. But when I kind of was like, okay, I'm really liking this, I think. And so I started to look up other people's reviews. And yeah, most people are like, this is super versatile. I'm making up words.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. I like
Too
to make
much
up
steak and
words.
potatoes already.
Right? Exactly. It's super, super versatile. And obviously it tastes exceptionally wonderful with steak and potatoes.
Okay.
Well, that
What
was
about you, Jules?
that was going to be my question, is if it actually paired well with steak and potatoes. So I'm glad to know it's living up to the name. Well, so I also could not get out to get wine, but that is because we are buried in snow. So it has been snowing nonstop since Sunday, and today we had several lovely snow squalls. So awesome.
Oh, lovely.
So I decided that I had to drink something that reminded me of summer. So I am drinking a Sauvignon Blanc, and it is the Aldi Sunshine Bay, which I don't know if I've tried, but Trisha definitely has on the show. I mean, I've tried it, just I don't think on the show. It is a very nice Sauvignon Blanc. It's very similar to Whitehaven, but, you know, $7.99. So cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. And I love your glass,
Yeah.
Julie.
Oh, I know.
Oh
Isn't
my
this
gosh.
fun?
That
I
is
don't know if you
fun.
can see it, but for our listeners, it has my initial etched in it with flowers. And we will have a link to this coming up soon on our Instagram and socials, because we are now an Amazon affiliate. And so we are going to be sharing products periodically that we love. But I got these as gifts for a bunch of my friends over the holidays, and they're like $14 a piece. But look at that. I mean, the shape.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It's got sort of a square / triangle. I don't know, whatever. And it's got a thin lip, which if you're a real wine drinker, you don't like a real
Yep.
thick lip up there. But it just makes you feel very fancy.
I like it, Julie. I like it.
So I'm drinking my Sauvignon Blanc out of my fancy glass, and I'm pretending I'm on the Bahamas.
While it's snowing
Bahamas.
outside.
Right?
On the Bahamas.
On the Bahamas. Not just in the Bahamas.
On the
Bahamas.
I like it.
All right. So now that we have shared our WINE with you, it is time for the WHINE. But you know how we always start that part of the episode. Stat time!
Ooh, that was very dramatic, Julie. I really liked that one. That might have to stick.
Yeah.
I still don't have my own stat music. We will get there eventually.
Yes.
Just a couple of quick ones today. According to SHRM, the Society of Human Resource Management, in case anybody's forgetting what that is, employees who experience a positive workplace culture are 68% less likely to consider leaving. Pretty darn great number. Now, here's a couple of other interesting things. Only 43% of employees who do not trust their employer are satisfied with their jobs, compared to 94% who do. Now, the one last thing I want to share about the stats that I again, combing through tons of stats to find the best ones for you all today. And I think one of the most interesting things that I came across is the difference between those who are managers or upper level employees and those who are the actual employees, and what they believe the percentage of honesty and trust looks like. So whereas most of your upper level management employees would say, oh, our trust levels are in the 90s, if you actually ask the employees, they're going to be anywhere, well, truly and honestly, it can be as low as 40%, but really the average is probably somewhere around 60 to 70%. So there is this massive differential between those who think they're in the know and those who are actually experiencing trust or lack thereof. So quite a huge difference. To that end, what we want to talk to you all about today then is key strategies for building trust. And you hear from Julie and I all the time. And so what we would like to do is really turn this over to Tammy and Latoya to share some of their strategies or some of their favorite strategies for building trust. And then, Julie and I, we will have to throw in our 2 cents here and there. So
Never been able to
ladies,
shut us up. So
nope.
yeah. But so as you two lead off, I would also like to just hear what you thought as Trish went through those stats. So whoever would like to start.
Okay, so I'll take it. So when we're talking about trust, and Latoya, you can jump in, and I'm just going to talk about, I think, the most underrated element in building trust between employer and employee, or manager to employee, is direct honesty. And the most important thing I can say with that is starting early in the relationship with direct honesty. And I mean starting at the interview. Let me back it up. Starting at the job description.
Yes.
Starting there.
Amen.
What is written in the job description, right? That is letting the employee know what they're going to be doing. And then what happens in the interview. One of the things I love to do in the interview is I love to be honest about the environment they're walking into. I love to be honest about my leadership style. We work in a fast-paced environment, right? I'm going to tell them that it is a fast-paced environment. You can't really plan out your day, so you have to be flexible. I also tell them about my style. I'm direct, right? I'm not a woman of many words, so I am going to be direct. And so later on, when we have those problems or those tough conversations, I revert back to what I told you in the interview. You remember, I told you I was direct. I'm going to give you constructive feedback. I'm going to give you kudos and praise. And I've never had an employee say, you know what, Tammy, you were lying. In fact, they tell me, they're like, you did say that. You did say that. Yeah, I remember you told me it was fast paced. And I think we have developed a way of telling employees lies about the job. It's a cookie cutter job. Oh, the team is great. So I think direct honesty is overlooked when building trust between employees and employers. And Toy, you can add to that if.
No, I agree completely about having that open, honest feedback. And I've definitely been a witness to that when people come back and say, oh, you told me this was fast paced. Like, I I didn't really think you meant this fast pace. But we're like, yeah, we were very honest and transparent about what that looks like in the beginning. And then also not only from the interview, but once they get into the field, showing them the ropes and empowering them by giving them the proper training to be able to do the work, to make sure that they know the ins and outs, the do's, the don'ts, to follow this policy, or the ins and outs of just about like the culture of the organization is very important as well too. So even when you were reading those stats, Trish, I was just like, that sounds about right. Some managers have this whole perception that, oh, all my employees trust me, they love me, and employees are like, that's not really the case. So I completely understand. And I honestly, for myself, I didn't realize the importance of building trust and having trust in a relationship until I worked for a manager that I didn't trust. And that was the wake up call for me, to say, hold on, something is not right. And it just didn't allow me to perform the way I needed to, because I was always kind of worried and walking on eggshells. And I just realized that that wasn't an environment that I was meant to work in. And it forced me to leave a job that I really loved, but I just couldn't work in an environment where I didn't have that trust that I needed. So that also empowers me in my role to make sure that I don't create that same environment for my employees that I work with now.
Okay, so two things real quick. One, I completely agree with you both. Um, Latoya, I wanted to ask you to expand a little bit on what you just said. What was it about that manager that let you know you couldn't trust them?
For instance, she would come to me and talk about other employees or talk about other personnel related matters. And in my mind, I'm like, well, if you're doing that to me, what are you doing behind my back? And then it was just like different things that she would do that I know didn't necessarily align with policy, but like, well, don't say anything. It was just a sneaky, underhanded. It was like, oh, no, no, no. We work for a government entity. I know there's checks and balances. Like, I just know that this isn't the way that this is supposed to go. And so it kind of made my spidey senses go off, and I just felt uncomfortable in her presence. And I was like, if you're turning on this person now, I could be next. And I don't want to be next. So I need to create my own exit strategy to get away from this before we get to that place.
That makes perfect sense. And I think that is so important. Trish and I talk about authenticity all the time, and how if you are not authentic, people can smell it a mile and a half away, right? And so that's part of it. Like if you're telling somebody fibs, or you're trying to like evade answers, or you're not being truthful, or you're talking about other people behind their back, and you're expecting people, like, people are going to be able to sniff that out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Tammy, follow-up question for you. So I think that you are so spot on with your comment about like being honest about the culture. And I think that is a mistake that a lot of employers make. Also in the private sector, but I imagine there's more pressure in the public sector to fudge the truth a little bit. But what always shocks me is, to your point, you can paint a rosy picture. They're going to figure it out fast enough, and then they're going to be out, right? So then you're just starting over again. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to lie about it.
It doesn't. And so one of the things, like doing an interview, right? You're making sure that this is the person you're interviewing is the right fit. But part of your job as a manager, right? To make sure the person knows that this isn't or is the right fit. If that so your job is not just to find the best candidate, but to give them insight if they would fit the dynamics of the workplace, right? So a law enforcement entity, public sector, but there's a lot of structure. It is semi-military, right? So you have to make sure that this person you're interviewing understands this may not be a place if you're looking for creativity, right? This may not be a place that if you're looking for an abundance of flexibility, right? Because government 8 to 5, 9 to 5, 7 to 4, structure, it is literally a 40-hour job. But what does
Funding is big as well.
Yes.
Money.
So yes, money, right? Money is big as well. You're not getting bonuses. So for someone who's never worked in the public sector, they may not understand that. So tell them this in an interview, right? Tell them Tell them if it's limited growth opportunities. Tell them that your merit is based on your performance and it's only up to 5% or 3%. It will just reduce so much turnover in the public sector, and I believe in the private sector as well, if you're just honest in the interview process. I can't state that enough.
I am so obsessed with this. So I also have follow-up questions. Shocker. I am going to basically say that what we were talking about right there is transparent communication, right? So that is going to be one of our key strategies. That's how I'm going to summarize that. What I would like to ask you all, in addition to transparent communication, what do you think is like one of the biggest behaviors you would like that you either like to model or you wish others would model to help your employees and managers or everyone really feel this sense of trust, this consistency, right?
So I think you hit it on the head earlier about being authentic, right? So organic. I'll be honest, and Latoya knows this. I'm a country girl from the South, okay, from South Carolina, okay. So I like to say I'm a country girl with table manners, right? So my staff, I don't change that. They they know that is what they're getting. They're getting a girl from the South who's direct, who's honest. I don't try to be someone I'm not. I don't try to throw a lot of textbook terms at them. Like literally, my 8 to 5 is who you see. And I know there's this whole concept of HR that says, oh, you cannot show up as your whole self. Okay, yes, you probably can't show up the cursing self, right? but you can show up as your whole self professionally, right? And Latoya knows, like my employees know me. They know what I don't like. They know what I like. It's
There's
just
no guessing. There's
yes,
no
there's no
guessing.
guessing. There is no guessing. And I think managers feel like, when you become an executive or you're on the C-suite, you feel like you have to portray something.
Yeah.
No, just be educated and experienced in your field and just be who you are. And Latoya can talk. We talk about this all the time, like literally all the time.
Well,
I
if
love
you
this.
are from the north, you can bring your whole cursing self to the table. Because
I knew that was coming.
just saying. But you have to know when and where.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But that kind of goes along with another strategy about being consistent.
yes,
Being consistent
yes,
in the way that you
yes.
are with your employees,
Yeah.
the way that you handle issues, the way that you give them praise. You just have to make sure that you are being consistent. And another key thing for me, Trish, just to piggyback, is to making sure that you empower your employees and that you give them the tools and the strategies that they need to be successful. I don't know if it's just the HR world or public sector versus private sector, but there are times when people feel like they need to gatekeep and hold the knowledge for themselves and they don't want to share because they're scared. Well, I want you to be better, but not better than me mentality. But that is totally what we are against. If I know it, you need to know it because anything can happen and I may not be here. So you need to be able to run this business because no matter what the title is, it's still a business. You still need to be able to run this operation in this business, and I need to be able to trust you to be able to do that as well too. So that goes along again with being consistent and making sure you're empowering your employees and sharing that knowledge with them as well.
See, Latoya wants to be so PC. So okay, so listen.
Oh my God. Let me drink
like,
my
I'm
wine.
like, I want you to know it, so I don't have to do it. Okay. That's
In
my
a nutshell.
You know
In a
yours,
nutshell.
so I don't have to do it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Empowerment, yep, hoo-ha, that's great. Know this, so I can take this off my plate.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, I
Make the
wish
concept.
more people thought that way, though, because Latoya, know exactly what you're talking about. Because I see this in the private sector all the time. It's like, well, it's kind of like law school where you take the bar exam and, it's this horrific experience where you spend 3 days just like everybody's puking in the bathroom and sweating bullets, and the place where you're taking it stinks of desperation and hopes dashed. Like it's just like this terrible thing, but everybody's like, but that's how we had to do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, for the love of all things holy, if we have learned from our mistakes, why are we making people repeat them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I want to give each one of you an opportunity to share, let's say, one more strategy that you would use again for building trust. And then what I will do for our listeners is maybe just really, really quickly summarize them in a couple of words. And then, because we always want to leave people with some actionable items, we will switch to some action steps that you all would like to share. So let's see what and who would like to go first, and what would be one more strategy that you would want to share with us tonight.
Well, I'm definitely going to pick the one I know Tammy is not, and it is active listening and empathy. I know she was not going to pick that one. So that is definitely a strategy that I utilize to build trust. Is to just listen. I mean, especially in HR, we listen to everybody else's problems, and we're the counselor and the fixers for everybody else. But our staff, we usually don't have anybody to go to but each other. So I definitely implore the active listening. Sometimes they just want somebody to talk to or just get it all out. And so listening to them and being able to empathize with them is something that's very important, especially working in local government and in law enforcement, because there's this energy around there where you just can't let your hair down, and you have to have this strong persona and this strong face on all the time. So just allowing the employees the opportunity to just get it out, empathize with them, and then say, okay, now we got to get back to the work. So I know Tammy wasn't going to pick that strategy for sure.
Absolutely not.
All right.
Absolutely not.
I have to interject though. So Latoya, how do you walk that line of the person who comes in your office and wants to vent, but then starts unloading something that you as an HR person have to deal with?
Okay, so that's kind of a part of my building rapport relationship with my employees, though, because I know the employees that I can allow to do that, and the employees that I have to draw the line very, very quickly with. So that is very important as a manager, to understand your employees and learn them and know how and when you can allow to kind of let your own personal guard down. So that is very important for me too, Julie. Oh, trust me, I had to learn the hard way, but I learned. I learned. Very quickly did I learn.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that you had to learn the hard way, because I think a lot of times, and I'm making assumptions here, but I think especially people who are newer to HR think that they have to be perfect.
Oh, yeah.
And, we've all screwed up. We have all done the thing where we have been like, yeah, no, totally off the record. Crap! Yeah.
Yes, like, we can't do that. There's nothing off the record for HR. We cannot do that. Like, oops, sorry. I said I wasn't going to tell anybody, but I kind of have to. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I think all roads always lead to transparency. So mine would be transparent decision making. It is the least expensive thing you can do with the highest return. And that comes from both perspectives. That comes from dealing with your direct reports or your teammates, but also coming from an HR perspective of who you're serving, right? Your stakeholders. It costs nothing to explain a new policy change, a new process, or why we're making this unfavorable decision, right? And I know most cases, you can, and there's some cases where you can't, just because your CEO or your director may just want to be a butthole, and you can't say that, So you have to navigate those waters. But over time, I have, this thing, train your CEO, right? Train your director. Hey, let's make it custom that we explain the why when we can, right? Even when you're doing a mass email, put the why this process is changing, because the generation that we're supporting now, or the workforce, they want to know the why. And that has yielded the biggest return in trust, where people know if HR is sending something, there's a reason now, right? HR is just not in the office making up things to put out, making changes for no reason. So transparency is the pathway to trust. It's the pathway to people really respecting you, right? Like, there's a lot of things people can say about me as a leader. One thing they cannot say, I am not true to my word. They that's one thing they just can't say. And so that is something that I wear near to my heart when navigating the waters with my employees, or employees across the department.
Julie, what do you have to say about that?
I feel like I am missing a cue. This one?
Yes, that one.
Don't be
So-
a dick. Yes.
End
yes.
of story.
Yes. 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 But since you opened the floor to me, I'm going to ask one quick follow-up question. So, Tammy, do you think there is some validity when, like, you really can't give a ton of information about why, but to just say, listen, I can't say much, but I need you to know we didn't make this decision lightly, or, I will share as much information as I can when I can, but for right now, I need you to trust me.
Yes, say that, right? Say that. Like,
Yeah.
just say that. Say, hey, I have even said, hey guys, I just got this information, but I want to share as much as possible. But I want you to know that it's limited. I can only share what I know. So, and sometimes if you're just being honest and human and just say it, give grace, ask for grace. Hey, I know you want more information, but I can't do it right now. I'm still researching, I'm still trying to gather information. But even say, but I've got a directive that I've got to push out.
Absolutely.
They know exactly what that means.
means.
They know exactly. Just be honest. And you can't say it, say you can't say it, right? I just don't know why that's so difficult for leaders, executives, to just understand. Say what you can, move on.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, because you should just take what I say and shut your mouth.
Yep. Oh.
And assume I'm telling the truth. Because
Oh.
why wouldn't I?
Right.
Oh yeah. Oh, we know all about that.
Oh, you give me flashbacks of Sparta, Mississippi. Oh my goodness.
All right. So, really quick, I want to summarize for our listeners. In our conversations, you heard things like, you may not have identified these as specific strategies, but you heard things like open door policy, transparent communication, as well as transparent decision making. Honestly, Tammy, I had never heard it stated like that before, and I really, really loved that. Ensure confidentiality, actively listen and empathize, lead by example, advocate for your employees, empower them, be consistent, something that Julie and I are always saying. And then, of course, don't forget about fairness, right? Equitable treatment across all levels of your organization. Make sure that every single person has this equal opportunity for career growth. We want policies that promote equity, that stand against bias, favoritism, any sort of discrimination. So make sure that your policies do not allow for that. And if you're doing investigations out there, public or private sector, make sure that you're also making sure that those are fair, treating them seriously and handling those investigations from a neutral, impartial, and unbiased perspective. So now that I've summarized all of that for y'all, I really would love to find out because we want you to be able to turn this into action. I do believe that both Tammy and Latoya have already given you action steps, but if y'all could maybe just pick out a couple from our notes so everybody knows out there, we've kind of talked and had a conversation about what we thought was most important for you, and so I would love to give you guys an opportunity to pick what you think might be an important step for this. Again, an action item where they could run and do this tomorrow.
So for me, it will piggyback on something that I already talked about as far as the strategies is to train your HR employees and your managers, because sometimes they really just don't know. We know private and public sector, it doesn't matter. If you do good work, your reward is usually more work. And so they'll promote you and give you these positions. I'm sorry, Trish, I didn't mean to make you joke, but it is. Your reward is usually more work. And then that usually is what leads you into a supervisor role. And then you don't always have the tools that you need to be successful in that role. So making sure that they understand employment law. It goes back to what Tammy said about decision making, knowing the why. You can't say this because this is a law. You may break this law. We may have a lawsuit because of this. Sometimes they just don't know. They're just acting on themselves, or I thought this is what I was supposed to do, or I thought it was okay to say this. No, you can't do that. You can't say that. So that is definitely an actionable step for anyone, no matter what your role is, making sure that you know those employment laws, making sure that you understand your company's directives and policies. That is something that you can take with you to build trust and also to keep your job. And then another one for me is to make sure that you walk the floor, no matter what your position is, no matter where your suite is located, making sure that you walk the floor and you connect with your employees. Tammy and I always say that we will never ask our employees to do something that we're not willing to do ourselves. And we mean that wholeheartedly. We are in the trenches with them. When things get tough, we are there. It's not that we're sitting in our office with our arms crossed or our legs up on the desk. We are in the trenches with them getting the work done. So as a manager, I think that's very important to build that trust and also to lead by example with your team.
Whew. Boy, oh
So
boy, Tammy.
so that's hard act to follow. I know. So my two would be follow up. So follow up. I like to call follow up the closeout.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like it.
closing this out. Be proactive when an employee comes to you with an issue. Follow up, beat them to it. Beat them to the closeout, checking in. I like to beat an employee before they circle back the second time, right? If an employee comes to me with a problem, I'm giving them an answer. I have this rule that applies to myself as well as my staff, 24 to 48 hours. I'm closing it out. The one thing employees hate with HR, there's no follow-up, there's no closeout. There's no, hey, I've done A, B, C, D, here's your resolution. Many employees walk away for months, even over a year, with no resolution, whether it's about a parking issue, whether it's about a supply issue, whether it's about, even believe it or not, a hostile work environment issue, right? Give them a follow-up closeout. The second thing I would say was highlighting shared success. You can't praise your employees enough, right? And so that comes from HR. I like to refer to our HR team as 911 for employees. No employee is coming to HR to give us high fives and donuts, right? So they're coming to HR because there is an emergency. Their life is in chaos right now, right? There's a pay issue. They want to take family medical leave. What is family medical leave? Family medical leave. Something bad has occurred, right? Unless it's a childbirth or adoption. So highlight your HR team. The HR team is the most overlooked, overworked team. And so, as an executive, as a manager, as an HR manager, it is your job to make your HR team feel valued. Literally, me and Latoya, we haven't run into an HR team in the public sector that's like, oh, they appreciate me. I feel so great. I'm changing lives every day.
Not
And
one.
so that's one of the things we look for when we hire, right? Those employees that have a heart of service. But we want our team to feel valued. And going beyond a pizza party or HR day, recognize your team. Recognize them.
So, on that note, and to start getting into our wind up, our last episode, we talked about how isolating it can be in HR for
Yes.
those very reasons, because HR never gets any of the credit. They're behind the scenes a lot. They're also, they got this bad reputation as
Mm-hmm.
the Department of No or the
Yeah.
principal's office or any of those things. And it seems like that is not any different in government, public sector versus private sector. So, on that note, what would you like? How do you help your HR teams feel that they are appreciated and valued?
So we do a couple of things. We just did wellness books, giving wellness time, right? Wellness is big for HR, right? Giving them a lot amount of time off for their well-being at the end of the year. And we do retreats. We do a lot of retreats. We of course we do the HR thing to do meals. Uh, we are intentional, right? And I think part of how we treat our HR every day, instead of a special day, is we make sure they know a couple of things, right? We want you to take care of yourself. I have this rule in HR. Don't miss a child's birthday celebration, a school event. Don't miss an anniversary. Don't miss the AB honor roll ceremony because of work. You go take care of your family, yourself, your mom and dad. Because, see, I'm a manager or an executive that really knows my job, so I can do your job too, right? And I think employees appreciate that sacrifice. And one thing you just said, Julie, that we really do in HR, we put HR out front. We put them out front. So over 2,000 employees, they can identify our HR team. We're not some Wizard of Oz behind the curtains. We are out front. We celebrate employees when it's time for celebration. But most importantly, we are there for employees in a time of sadness, right? We just had an officer that died unexpectedly. My HR team took care of the family, literally took care of our officers while they're grieving. And so that lets our employees know that HR is here. When I first started with this team, one of the things, it was one sentence that I came up with, and it drove every mission that we did. And it literally said, uh, building trust in every action with HR. So everything we do in HR is intentional. How we send out an email, how we answer the phone, how we show up today at work. It's intentional. You can't come to my office and look like you just woke up. You can't answer the phone like you're not working at a government sector. You just can't. And so I think a combination of those things leads to one thing. How are you branding your HR department?
I
Oh,
would definitely
man.
agree. I would definitely agree with that, Julie, especially with isolation. I think
Yeah.
one of the things for us was, like you said, not making sure that our team was out there and not being inside the
Mhm.
office. I would The agency that I worked with before I came to where I am now, there was a lady in HR that nobody had seen. We were
Mhm.
at a training and somebody was like, "Oh my God, I have been here for 10 years and I've never seen you." Like, the training was the first time they had seen her. And it was like, oh my goodness. So when we became the leaders of an HR organization, we were very
Yeah.
intentional to make sure that that was not us. I mean, when we have our police week, we're playing kickball with the
Yeah.
officers, we're
Yeah.
playing cornhole, like
Yeah.
we are interacting with them, we're eating snacks with them, like we are showing them that we are the human side of
Yeah.
HR. So that definitely goes a long way with building trust. No matter what your organization is, you have to be out front.
I love the word that you both kept using too. Intentional. Intentional. And being out front. I am so excited. You guys have me so excited about HR right now. And I'm assuming that a lot of our listeners out there are as excited and as motivated as I am. I think you guys are just both very dynamic individuals. You clearly know what you're talking about. And so now I get to drop our surprise for our listeners. For those of you out there who are governmental employees, I wanted to let you know that Monarch, specifically me, Trisha, we are partnering with these two lovely, amazing, talented, incredible HR professionals to present a training specifically for governmental employees. One of the things we are going to talk about is building trust. There are several other things that we are going to mention as well. Would one of you want to give our listeners just a quick little insight into what we're doing and why? So just give us a quick synopsis to get them excited about it like we are.
Okay, well, let's jump into this. So, we are excited to share our trials, our tribulations, the things that we've learned. And so, we are conducting what we're calling an HR lab. We didn't want to do a boot camp. We wanted to do something different where they had some tangibles and some takeaways to kind of take back to their agencies to put it into practice. I know we didn't want to make like a regular, training. You get a piece of paper, you take it home, you put it in your drawer. Like, maybe I'll pull this out if I needed it. We wanted to have some real action items that you guys can utilize to take back to your agencies. Again, share some of the things that we've learned through our careers that you can take back. We're of course going to talk about building trust, a little bit about emotional intelligence. We're going to talk about some employment law concerns, talk about like even things you can take back for ADA accommodation and different things of that nature. We always get people that reach out to us from other agencies to ask us questions, and so now we're going to have one place where you can get all those questions answered and kind of get those things to take back. We're shooting for summer 2026, so be on the lookout at the Monarch page to look for more information. We hope that you can join us, share it with other agencies around, and I think it is going to be a really good treat. Now, just to give you a warning, what you see here is what you're going to get. We're going to give you the real, authentic, raw versions of us, not any cookie cutter trainings. This is going to be the real deal. So we hope you can join us, and we look forward to meeting you guys there in person.
And I would just add that if you are currently in government, you definitely want to sign up for this. If you're thinking that you might want a career in government, you should sign up for this. So it will apply to everybody. It's always good information to know because there are a lot of distinct differences between public sector and private sector.
Most definitely.
And I have worked with both. And I mean, come on, you've already seen how much fun these three ladies are together. So we will have more information on that. We will have also some contact information in the show notes. So if you want to be on the mailing list or get first dibs on when the training opens, you can check out our show notes and contact us, and we will make sure that you are on the list. Okay, so now this is rapid fire because we are running a little bit long, but we are going to go back to you for your wine if you have any changes to how you're thinking about your wine or how it tastes or whatever. And also one final thought. So, Tammy.
I have no changes about how I feel about my wine. and one thought, if one takeaway, brand your HR. Brand your HR.
All right, Latoya?
Love it.
I'm still loving my wine. I'm definitely going to look at this steak and potatoes, though. This sounds very interesting. So Trisha definitely piqued my interest there. And let's see, a good quick takeaway for me is being transparent. Just make sure that you be transparent. That is the way to build trust within your organization and on your team.
Love it. Trish?
I am still loving the steak and potatoes. It is a nice, easy drinking Pinot. It is, I think, exactly what people think of Pinot. It's lighter, but again, loving cranberry and vanilla, two of my favorite flavors. So 2 thumbs up from me. If you're not a cranberry and vanilla person, maybe this isn't the wine for you, but definitely would go well with steak and potatoes. My final takeaway is don't forget to celebrate the wins. I think that's so important to reward the efforts that you see, especially those that build trust. Ideally, we want to grow together and go in a particular direction. And when those contributions are recognized and they're valued, it really does deepen the commitment of your employees, of your managers, and it does, most importantly, strengthen relationships.
Well, I don't think I've ever not liked to whine less than I did when I started, but what else? But still, it's a nice way to wrap up the episode. And then my last final thought is you have to give trust to get trust. So if you are feeling that there's a deficit with any person in particular, maybe try figuring out how you could ask them for some help before you try to help them. Because if they learn that you are willing to trust them and be vulnerable, then they are more likely to trust you and be vulnerable. So, on that note, I cannot thank you both for being here enough. I think this was a fantastic episode, fantastic topic. I'm so excited to see your course when it comes out. And on that note, cheers!
Cheers!